Lifting can be carried out on a car's suspension or its body. Lifting the suspension takes place through replacement of individual elements. The body is modified through installation of appropriate washers where the body is installed on the frame. It's worth mentioning that the suspension lift is the most effective and has real impact on the car's operation. It ultimately determines the off-road capabilities of your car, and this is why we shall cover this type of modification in the article below. Suspension is nothing else than a set of elements connecting the wheels with the body. They are responsible for the transfer of forces which are generated during driving at the contact points between tires and the road surface. They are also responsible for even distribution of these forces, therefore they must be characterized by reliability. Each car and each modification is a very individual project, so we are not able to give you any universal advice. What to pay attention to when selecting a lift? Every car should be tuned to individual users' preferences. Various solutions can be recommended depending on the car's intended use. One set will work well in case of a car only intended for paved roads. Another one will be appropriate for people who wish to use their car to go fishing or hunting, and another approach shall be taken in a case of car typically intended for very hard terrain. At the modification planning stage, the driver's personal preferences shall also be taken into account. For example, does he prefer a harder car or maybe likes when a car sits softly? In terms of selecting optimal components, each case shall be assessed individually. One must remember that not every element cooperates with all of the elements. There is no other solution to this problem than many years of experience in completing seats. It's not an easy thing to do. There is a multitude of combinations, and even once a set is completed, there is still the issue of configuring all of the equipment elements with each other. Sometimes even individual tuning of shock absorbers becomes necessary, which is a particularly complicated issue. This takes place especially during the implementation of complex projects which practically comprise of redesigning the whole car. Sometimes it's necessary to change oil in shock absorbers into one that is different than the one recommended by the manufacturer. Sometimes we are forced to carry out road and field tests using appropriate sensors. We then examine the behavior of a given car with a particular load and with consideration of the user's preferences.